NBA Top Shot, some F1. Who knows what else? Grab a drink. It's happy hour time, babies.
Well, the top shot streets are so you better tune in to a credible face like this one. Yeah, this one. Oh, no, he's not alone when they're coming in hot. They got a lake show stand and a guy who really likes baseball. I don't know why he likes baseball.
What's up, everybody? We're back. You guys don't know this because the theme song was playing, but on my end, everything froze up and shut down. My AirPods stopped working, so while it was playing, we had to like refresh, and it was pretty chaotic over here. It's pretty chaotic, but it's good to be back. We had a fun little show repping our man Pack Drip and the Rising Floor from the NBA NFT All-Star Game from not too long ago. I wasn't planning on having a drink, and then the last hour has been stressful, and you can't have a happy hour without a little Pacifico. So no, it's not brought to you by Pacifico, because give me my money, Pacifico. Give me my money. Good to see everybody, though. Who do we got in the chat? We see Jump Shooties to Chunk. Brenton's here. Sugar Fruit, Jimmy Peacock. Fanny's here. Milo. We're excited to be back, guys. We get a fun little show. It's going to be a tight hour today. A tight hour. We'll, just peruse around the Top Shot world. We're going to have James and Mihal come in. I'm going to talk some F1 in a little bit to get us ready for Azerbaijan this weekend. Which, you know what, I said confidently, but I don't know if it came out confidently. But I wanted to start. Oh, there we go. Crate Collector's here. J7's here. Daniel Moore. Good to see you. The Top Shot, Thought Shot. Milo's here. We love it. Also, shout out Jimmy Peacock, who this is actually where we'll start. I didn't think this is where I was going to start, but this is where we will start. It is, let's see, how much time do we have left? We have 56 minutes left in the challenge, and I want to shout out Jimmy Peacock, who helped me. I rented out one of his James Wiseman legendaries, which he pulled the James Wiseman Jersey Serial Legendary 1 year ago today on this very stream. Huge. He lent me that in exchange for a Scotty Barnes Top Shot debut and a Draymond Green playoff moment. So we could get there. Now, it's at 135 eligible completions, it looks like. What's exciting, though, we need to keep this. We need to keep this under 160. Can we do it? Can we keep it under 160? All right. Because if we can, we're getting a With the Strip Series 1 pack, which would be very, very, very nice. We get shots at some debuts and lots of stuff like that. So I wanted to shout out my man, Jimmy Peacock. Huge. I know I said Azerbaijan. That was this past weekend. It's Canada this week. All the Canada people were like, it's Canada, baby. It's Montreal this weekend for F1. Top Shot Talk was like, F1's in my city. There we go. So 1 year ago, and the man still hasn't played. That is very true of James Wiseman. Very true. But this is what I wanted to start with today, and we're going to continue to monitor that because I will freak the fuck out if that gets over 160 right before 4 o'clock Eastern time when this shuts down. I wanted to start with this. So, I wasn't going to listen to a bunch of NBA podcasts today because, my feelings were hurt. I thought I handled myself well this morning I wasn't yelling at all. I was, reasonable, but I did not know if I could continue to bring that energy out during the podcast streets when I was going for walks and stuff. And I got to say, guys, I'm actually feeling nice. You know, I'm bummed my team lost. As a Celtics fan, I'm bummed my team lost. It is really hard not to be super excited for Klay Thompson and for Steph. Fuck Draymond. But for Klay and for Steph, it's just hard not to think that was awesome, you know? To think about like where Klay was like not even that long ago, to think about the journey that Warriors team has been on. It really like perfect set of circumstances this year. The Clippers were hurt. The Lakers were in shambles. The Nuggets were hurt. Luka's team's not there yet. The Nuggets were hurt. Who else am I forgetting? The Jazz are just broken inside. And I don't know. They took advantage of the situation, and they're still going to be around for a while, right? It's not like this team's going away. Steph's still, he's probably on the back end of his prime, but I mean, he's going to age nicely outside of anything crazy happening. They've got a lot of young talent. They clearly have like a strong organization. So I don't know. I'm not mad, man. I'm not mad. I'm kind of into it. So shout them out. Shout out the Warriors. I am happy for Klay. And all you Warriors fans, take your W's. They beat the Beantown Boys. And that's it. But now we move on to the offseason. It's offseason. We have the draft in less than a week. The draft is it's a week from today. Is today Thursday or Friday? Today's Friday. The draft is Thursday night. So the 89 Cavs are going to be streaming on playback for the entire thing. The entire thing will be streaming the first round, that is. So this is going to be fire. This is going to be a really good time. I encourage everyone to tune in. We're going to spend next week like diving into the draft, making some fun calls, trying to make some fun comparisons and things like that. What's the chat saying? Is Mike even a Boston fan? I definitely am bummed. But I do think over the last 5 years, I've become way more of an NBA fan than a Celtics fan. And I still love my Celtics and I root for my Celtics first and foremost, but it was kind of fun. That was just like a fun, it wasn't like losing to LeBron. It reminded me of LeBron, and someone else, like I wasn't the first one to say this, but LeBron beating the Warriors, where it was like, I was rooting for the Warriors there. That was greatness that we were seeing. But to see LeBron do that was like incredible. And that's what last night felt like. To see Steph overcome everything was pretty cool. Someone asked, does Steph age better than Bron? I mean, man, LeBron's still really, really good. Steph, the thing with Steph is like, he's not going to forget how to shoot, He's not going to forget how to shoot. So I think that's still going to be a thing. So it's going to be fun. It's my off season too. I don't want to hear anything about basketball for a few months. It's pre-NFL time for me. I am getting excited about the NFL. NFL All Day announced a challenge today. They announced a challenge. Let me read that off to see what that bad boy was. All right, let me see. Where does it say it? They're doing an AMA right now. Can't believe I am doing stuff against them. So Trade Tracker Challenge, our first ever challenge with multiple difficulty levels, giving a variety of NFL all-day fans the chance to put their collection to use. To complete the challenge, you must hold moments meeting the requirements in your collections at the time of the snapshot to qualify. Challenge rewards will be given next week on the 24th. A lot of fun stuff about people getting traded and things like that. It's nice to see NFL All Day starting to get moving. We love it. But we the people, I'm sorry to disappoint you though, man. We're still going to be talking some basketball because we do have the draft. We do have some free agency stuff. Ooh, look at We the People said completed both without buying a thing. You love to see it. Glad I own the Brian Edwards. There you go. The other thing we should say too, there was a little alpha being dropped by the Own the Moment people about something about a Jolly Joker, which I'm assuming is an NFT project coming from them. And I'll be curious to see what they roll out. Like, are we going to see some fantasy related stuff? They also released OTM Rumble, which listen, guys, we got to workshop some of these names. Okay. Rumble, OTM Rumble. I don't know. Maybe all the other names were taken, but Rumble, it sounds like Chris Berman. Rumbling, a little bit of that. Or is it Bruce Buffer? Or is it Bruce Buffer, Michael Buffer, whatever the fuck is the one that says, let's get ready to rumble. I don't know. I got some notes. All right, let's see. I'm telling you guys, I'm stressed out about this challenge. If this goes to 161 and turns into an and then there were 4-pack, your boy's gonna be pissed. I had already had the. All right, we're still at 135. I had already had the Steph TSD and the Brown TSD and the Steph MSFE, so we were kind of there. We were kind of already there. I had a question about this. We talked about this on playback a little bit last night. What do you guys think about for like the ultimate Steph Curry moment right now? Is it that record-breaking 3, the metallic silver Phantom edition out of 600? Is it like the Top Shot debut MGLE, which is a challenge reward out of 200? Or is it whatever this legendary moment is going to be out of 75? I don't really know what is what. Stubbs, you also won a moment today in the giveaway, my man. You won a moment. Check your DM, Stubbs, so I can get you your moment. Got to get you that moment, baby. 2021 All-Star look away. That one's pretty good too. The record-breaking 3, I think, is where I lean, just because that's, I mean, the 1 out of 75 is going to be nice. Wow, Top Shot Talk says the MSFE is overrated. Top Shot Talk, I think Canada's overrated. Really, you think it's overrated? How come? So it's got the championship badge. It's going to be record-breaking, and it's got a mint of 600 something. What do you think? When did you buy a bird? Yeah, bad take. I like it. Let's go after him. When did you buy a bird? Not a Sue or a Larry. What are you talking about? Daniel, you have me confused. What are you talking about? What bird? We are likely overrated, but that doesn't change the MSFE. Wow. Good morning, NBA. Good morning to you, NBA. Or good afternoon. Also, I think you texted me when I was asleep last night. I got to respond to good morning, NBA. Guys, listen. Oh, the chirping outside. I got you. Sorry, guys. I'm not picking it up because I got these fucking earmuffs on right now. Should we unsubscribe to NBA Top Shot Talk today? What if we do that? Should I drop a link in the chat? We all unsubscribe? I just don't know how you're going to do that to my moments. You know what I'm saying? You want to FUD a moment, you do it on your show, TST, okay? You FUD your own bags. You do not come on my show and FUD my bags. Also, you guys can see it, like the lighting is constantly changing. It's like the clouds is all over the place. It's all over the place today. And it's hot, though. It is really hot. We are up to 88 degrees right now. Whew. Guys, you know what? I thought I was going to have something planned for the first 30 minutes, and I didn't. What else do you guys want to talk about? Right now? I don't have anything, guys. I got nothing for you, but that's how confident. Oh, 137. This is up to 137. I swear to God, 46 minutes. I'm begging you. If this goes from With the Strip Series 1, I will be so bad. You know what? Top Shot Talk, come on right now. I'll give you 15 minutes to give me your MSFE takes. You have 15 minutes. Unless you're teaching. Are you teaching right now? Or are you done? Are you done for the year? Who's your favorite player who never won a ring? Ooh, that's a good question. I love Charles Barkley, man. I really do. I love Charles Barkley. But I think for like everything that Charles Barkley, for him not to have a ring, I do love that Karl Malone also doesn't have a ring. So it kind of like evens itself out a little bit. Did you ever make a top 10 NBA players? Yeah, I did that today. Yeah, you guys want to fight about that? Let's fight about that. Oh, wait, are you ready? You want to come on? Hold on, let me DM you. You only get 15 minutes though, and then we're talking F1. Hold on, let me do something real quick. I don't know if he's being real or not right now. Let me drop the link. To him. It would be funny. I dropped it in a group DM though, so I wonder if like 15 people come on. Yeah, you guys want to fight about my top 10 takes though? Here we go. This is what I had. Let me here we go. Hold on. Let's see this here. I'll share screen. Soon to be Westbrook. Soon to get Westbrook. Get out of here. Here we go. Here's my top 10. Fight me. So I went Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Bill Russell, Magic, Wilt, Larry Bird, Timmy Duncan, Kobe, Steph. So Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Russell, Magic, Wilt, Larry, Tim, Kobe, Steph. What do we think? What do we think? I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Come with the hate. I think some people think Kobe's too high. I like. Sorry, guys. That's where I got Kobe. I don't know. I think there's like an argument for Hakeem. Like Hakeem's probably Shaq too. But you know what, guys? I think I'd just rather have Steph than Shaq. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Kobe over Timmy. I think this is Bill Simmons' list. Is it like 1 through 10? Is that Bill Simmons' list? Kobe at 9. Where do you have Kobe, Daniel? No, I have Steph over KD. I have Steph over KD. Yeah, I do have Kareem over Wilt and Russell. I do. I just don't know. Ricky, I don't know the case for KD right now. I really don't. I really don't. Is it the same exact list? That's going to bum me out if it's the same list. Oh, I don't want this to be the same list. Boo. Is it the same order too? Is it the same order? Durant over Steph. Interesting, Daniel. Interesting. No, I don't have KD. Does that mean you also have KD over Shaq and over Hakeem? Really? I don't know. I got to tell you though, guys, at this point, it's like really hard to make any arguments one way or the other. Magic over Kareem. Wow, Magic over Kareem. I'm not there with you. I'm not there with you for Magic over Kareem. Can't do it. Can't do it. Jules DuPont. Good to see you, Jules. Thanks for being here. You hate the Lakers, but have Kobe 2 or 3? How do you have Kobe 2? Guys, there's too much Kobe talk. Too much Kobe talk. All right, 13 minutes of fury right now. 13 minutes of fury with TSG. Tank top season. What's up, man?
How you doing?
I don't know.
Don't know.
Yeah.
Tough loss.
All right, so you hate MSFEs?
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm on the record for hating MSFEs in general.
What's
for the set in general?
What's something you like, TST?
Man, I like everybody. Okay.
Yeah, hit me with it.
So obviously that's the only MSFE that anyone really does care about. I get that. My problem is that, was this a record we ever talked about before? No.
Like most threes of all time?
No, we didn't talk about that. Like that.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't. We didn't talk.
We absolutely did. We always knew that Reggie Miller had one, and then when Ray Allen came up, we were like, "Holy shit, Ray Allen's gonna break the record."
But we only talk about it like when it's broken. Like it's not like people were like it's just. I don't think it's a record that matters that much, and like so many people are gonna pass like all-time great shooters just based on where the league has gone, and like obviously Steph will be way ahead and in that, but I don't think like we look back on this record and that moment specifically, right? Because his actual record-setting one is going to be way later in his career. So later, when we're talking about his
last 3, is that what you're saying?
Do we talk about like the 3 that Ray Allen hit to pass Reggie Miller? Well, can you tell me when that was?
Yeah, but this is like a specific platform designed around.
Yes, absolutely. So it will have some, but what we're talking about, is it the best Steph moment ever? I think that it's possible that we haven't seen the best Steph moment yet.
Yeah.
You know, if he would have had something a little better in the NBA finals, like he didn't have like a game winner or something like that. So that's my like first kind of problem with it, is that I don't think this record really matters that much.
Can I push back on one thing though?
Yeah.
Can you name a record that we talk about regularly unless it was about to get broken?
Like points per game, like just like compared to Kobe's 81-point game.
No, but nobody talks about Kobe's 81-point game.
Oh, come on. People talk about that every single year. At Jalen Rose every single year. But only if somebody
gets like,
and that's
60.
not even the record.
That's what I'm saying though. That only happens if someone gets close, and then people are like, "Oh
and
shit!"
Like the anniversary and all this different shit too gets brought up. That won't get brought up on its anniversary. We won't be talking about that, I'm pretty sure, in very long. The other thing is that if we part of the thing is this platform is the moment itself.
Right.
Okay. if we take that in like 5 years and I play you that clip, are we certain that people will know that that is the record one?
Yeah. They stopped the game.
Yeah, but like I'm talking like a highlight package, like a random like highlight package. You throw that in. Whereas like, like the Magic platter dish that we just got that was released.
Sure.
That's on like every Magic highlight. And like people are like, if we see that 3, we're just gonna be like, oh, it's Steph hitting another 3. Unless they show the part where it stops and everything. And yes, that actual moment was cut that way. But I just don't think that like we really care that much about that record. And we're just kind of like making a narrative because it just happened. I don't think that in the long term that we will care that much about that.
I think if Magic had a moment that broke a significant record, that would be included in his package.
But so you're saying Magic has no records or had no records?
I think like we talk about his triple doubles all the time because he had like a playoff triple double record.
Yeah. But
we talked about that until we realized triple doubles don't matter because of Russell Westbrook.
So
shout out, man, we the people.
So we're gonna notice that.
No, wait, hold on.
Don't matter anymore.
I do want to point this out because I like that he had to do this twice. Ghost of Greg Oden said the real question is which Steph moment gets the most collector score ducks, and then he's like, just kidding. Top Shot score ducks. This is so I like the take that metallic silver Phantom edition suck. I'm with you on that. I think
so. That is like where this stems from first. That was the
Yeah.
first reason I was like, this thing's overrated, especially the prices when it first came out. And I was like, this is a typical like new flashy thing on Top Shot where it's overpriced for some reason that over time goes up. It's the same way that people are probably overpriced this John Morant right now because it's the first crafting. The same way that the Mike Conley narrated. I wonder what that scene stars at right now, but it was held up at the very beginning and came in way higher than any challenge reward at that time.
Well, right, but that is truly a piece of shit moment. Like that is like and I said that before it came out. No one buy this. This is garbage.
Yeah, but it was the first. Well, I was saying that do not do this challenge. This challenge is going to be terrible. I was telling everyone not to do that challenge. And then it comes out and the narration was like a surprise, right? Yeah. And then it looked like the challenge was good. And everyone was super high on this challenge because they're like, when people look back on the platform, they're going to be like, what was the first narrated moment? No, they're not. They're not going to care.
Exactly. Because then the second one's Tory Craig. Like nobody cares. Nobody
that
cares.
one literally already, no one cared when it happened.
I think people forgot that is even a thing. I will say, who? I think though, I think you're wrong about this 3-point thing. I think that is something that people.
That's fine. Everyone that owns one, I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah. And this is the thing I would kind of get on board with. If your take is the game is so drastically different now that Steph, when all is said and done, like if he's going to hold this record for like 9 years and then it's done. If you said that, then I can hear it a little bit more. I'll take it a little bit more. But I think like Steph right now, both by like the new generation, the old generation, is considered the best shooter of all time. And this is like, this is like one of the best shooting records you can have. And so it kind of like embodies who he is. I do think that matters a little bit more.
I would also say that like if that was an MJLE, I'd be more on board.
Yeah, no, I'm right. If it was an MJLE legendary, like if it was a hollow, it would matter more. I think because I will say, it was the first MSFE too, right? Was it the first one they did?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it was funny, man, when that was the case, because then Christmas happened and they were like, what about Nick Claxton though? And I think that kind of shifted how we feel about the MSFEs. But when it was just that one, and even when it like the LaMelo was cool and the Scotty, but like there are some good moments in there. But it is kind of in no man's land. I do agree with that. But I was thinking today, because I own both the Steph Curry Top Shot debut and the MSFE, and I was like, should I just flip this debut and go get another MSFE? But the consensus was no.
No, that I think would be like you could argue owning one or the other, like
right.
owning just the MSFE, but you cannot argue with me to own two. And not like unless your only argument is that like
there's less of them.
Top Shot debut badges don't matter. Like don't matter at all. And like we're caught up with them, but in the long term, people are not going to care about them. And like people are just going to be like, those are fake rookie cards. They're not actually rookie cards, and the only ones that matter are like quad badge rookies. Those will be the only like. badges that matter.
Yeah.
Because also like people are like, oh, it has a championship badge. I don't really care that much about a championship badge
No, me
when
neither.
it comes to a random moment. If you're like comparing two MGLEs and they're
Right.
like equally cool moments and one has a championship badge, yeah, I'll give you that. But I don't think people are going to necessarily like value something so much more because of the championship badge.
Let me throw something else at you. What if they, because Top Shot's been known to change the rules mid-game. What if they come out next year and they're like, MSFEs are dead. We're not doing them anymore. And so that was the only addition of Metallic Silver fandom. It's the only Curry moment you can get of an MSFE. Are you back in then? Because my argument always against MGLEs and hollows.
So like the Scene Stars, you mean?
Yeah, like the Scene Stars.
How'd that work out?
Dude, I don't know. Ask.
It's the only one. That's what we heard. It's gonna be the only one ever. Collector's item.
Yeah, but those are out of 10,000. This is out of 6. I'm just saying, because my frustration with the MGLEs and hollows, not really frustration, but my argument for, like you said, the Top Shot debuts is there's only one of those.
Mhm.
Well, actually, there's multiple because there's
Except for the Curry. Also, that's my other problem. If we're comparing the Curry Top Shot debut, then we have to compare the one that has the closest mint count. We can't compare the comp.
Oh, so you think compare the challenge reward from Series 1 that's out of like 211?
Oh yeah, it's out of 200 too, right? I was thinking
yeah, it's out of
MGLE. Well, that would only be 299, so that's not even that great too, because it's 600, right? The MSFP.
640 something, I think.
Okay.
What's kind of nuts, I back in the ballers hype before the market opened, I almost traded two ballers.
Yes. Bring the ballers comparison.
Dude,
what ball?
I almost traded.
You know your argument's in a good place when you got to bring up ballers.
I almost traded 2 ballers for a Steph Curry Top Shot debut MGLE. The only reason the user didn't do it was because he only had one and the serial number was like 9. And he was like, I don't think I can do it. That was at like 10K at the time. And that was the only reason he didn't do it, which is hilarious.
Did you sell yours before?
I got 5 of them. I minted 5. I sold.
Damn, big believer.
I sold 3. I sold 3 pre-market. I think I sold one of them for $2,500. I sold 2 of them for a Luka Top Shot debut, a Jokic MGLE, and something else that basically equaled $2,000. And then I sold the other 2 for like $1,500 and $1,000 or something like that. So I moved off them. Quickly. The ballers.
Big regrets.
I know. Listen, it's early. They gotta. Where it's early in Web3, they got plenty of time to bounce back. TST, before we get you out of here, any other like insane takes you need to fire off?
Insane takes? I don't think this is decided. I don't know that. No, not really.
Nothing. Anything else you're mad about?
I'm mad that you didn't know the F1 was in Montreal. How about that?
Honestly, it's because I was looking at the notes for today's show.
I assumed you were inviting me on because you wanted me in the streets reporting.
Are you an F1 nut?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it's funny because like now F1's popular, right?
Yeah.
But this has always been like one of the biggest weekends in Montreal.
Really?
And it's like crazy. And like anyone that works in the service industry, it's like the craziest weekend.
Yeah.
But it really has very little to do with the actual race. It's just like there's all these like all this money comes to town, right? And
right,
like,
everybody comes.
There's all these little like car shows, so they'll like shut down all the different parts of the city and they show off the cool cars or whatever. But it's not like people are like, yeah, let's go to the race. But now, like I feel like it's going to be even more bumping because there was a Netflix show.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, clearly there's so much more popularity around it now. Are you going to go to any of the events?
Probably. I haven't been to one yet. Probably won't.
Okay. All right.
No, because it's like crazy and like prices are insane.
Yeah, the prices are nuts. The prices are nuts for stuff like this.
It's like everything is absolutely crazy.
Do you have any like, I don't know, off-season things you need to yell about? Any takes before we get anything?
I'll save it for another day where you say something outrageous and I'm in the chat and you send me a link.
I just love the idea that you're like, that moment sucks.
It's not that it sucks. It's that I don't know, just the Top Shot debut arguments is wild to me if you think Top Shot debut badges matter.
Yeah, and I do. I mean, that's why you get them both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's why you were advised to keep them both.
I know. I was just throwing some ideas around, guys.
Hey,
I was
we love it.
bored.
We love the ideas. We got to
Yeah.
work. We got to talk more. People got to talk more. That's
Yeah.
my hot take. People need to
What?
communicate more.
It's the only way we're gonna get through this.
Yeah.
All right, TSC. I'm gonna get you out of here. We're gonna
All right.
start our engines and do some
All right.
F1
Start
talk.
your engines.
Dude, how about that pivot right
If I
there?
end up at an event or anything, I'll call in
Yeah, man on the street. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, take it easy, TST.
later.
Later, man. Shout out TSD. Always love him. But all right, before we pivot, because we're gonna wait, our man Mihal is gonna be joining us. James is gonna be joining us. I want to just double check here where I'm at with this challenge. So we are now. Oh God, it's getting close. Let me share screen here. What are we at? We're at 100. Let me refresh just to be safe. 138 completions, 28 minutes to go. What did I say? We can get up to 160. So what's that? 22. We might be in the clear. We need Floaty to crash. I'm rooting for Floaty to crash so there's no rentals. NBL, shut it down. I want to get a Series 1 pack. I'm not interested in, and then there were 4. All right, but we're going to pivot now. We're going to talk some F1. I'm very excited to bring back both Mihal and James today for the next 30 minutes or so. We're going to talk about last week's race, the upcoming week's race, and how Ferraris are frauds. So, James, Mihal, welcome back. How we doing?
Wow.
Hello.
Wow. Doing good. Hot take there, Mike. Hot take.
I'm so frustrated with them, man. We had our bridal shower last weekend, and so it was kind of a long day on Saturday, and the race started at 7 a.m. Eastern time. And I was like, I'm not going to set an alarm, but if I'm up, I'll watch it. I woke up at 7:20, and I turned it on, and both Ferraris were out of the race. What
Yep.
the hell?
My friend wanted to know if porpoising voids the warranty on Ferrari engines.
I I have no idea. But as custom now to our Friday F1 portion of the show, I'm going to swap myself with James. Let James slide into the hosting chair because that's what happens when you create a rundown for a show. You get to act as host. So James, I'm going to let you take it away.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Here we go for the F1 chat for Team Hold. Hey, by the way, don't forget the F1 fantasy game for Team Hold. Join up in the at f1.com, and you can go ahead and enroll and join Team Hold. There's about a dozen of us or so. I think Mike can drop a link in the chat. We'll mention it one more time if we remember.
Yep.
But yeah, let's start off with a wrap up of the old Azerbaijani Grand Prix. And yeah, as you said, the Ferraris didn't have a very long race day. They did very well in qualifying, but didn't have a very long race day. And actually, it wasn't just the Ferraris. It was anyone with the Ferrari engine had a problem. Leclerc, Magnussen, and Zhou all had to retire because of that. The only people that finished or Sainz were retired with a hydraulic problem in air quotes. So who knows what exactly that meant. So only Schumacher and Bottas were able to finish the race with Ferrari engines. It's becoming a large problem for them. It's seriously impacting their championship abilities on the constructor side. And Leclerc is, I don't know where Leclerc is right now. He is beyond angry at this point, but he can't he's very polite. Mm-hmm. And he's not going to sit there and basically call the team a bunch of MFers or something for not being able to get this engine problem right. Michael, what do you think of Leclerc's position at this time? What can he really do except other than just kind of suck it up at this point?
You mean me or Mike?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, Mike. Miha, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, after Australia, he was like 60 points up, and now he's like, I don't know, similar points down. It's a disaster for Ferrari, but like he has no other way to like suck it up. And the worst thing, they're gonna start being hit by the grid penalties because they start going through those parts that are limited per season. So it doesn't look so good for them right now.
No, not at all. In fact, he's going to take his third engine already in Canada, and that's going to be it. From here on, it'll be grid penalties. So we're only 8 races in, and they're already starting to look at grid penalties going forward. Yeah, I don't know, if, Mr. Zakarian. I don't know what this means for Ferrari going forward, but hopefully they better get it fixed. Or if you wake up late again, you're not going to see many more Ferraris in the races going forward.
It is. It's so funny, and I don't know. I can't remember if the announcer said it or honestly if one of you guys said it on Friday. But Ferrari seems to be the best Saturday racers in the world, and like that's usually projects well to at least points on Sunday, and they just continue to just absolutely melt down on Sunday. And I really do feel bad for the drivers. I feel like if the drivers were doing things that were like, how sometimes Max will drive himself off the race, right? Like he'll get a little wild, gets a little aggressive, which also makes him great. But sometimes he takes chances and it costs him dearly, right? It's not even that, right? Like it's not even poor driving right now. And I mean, the frustrations for Sainz and for Leclerc, I mean, I know I would not be handling this well in the media. I would have a tough time answering those questions. I don't know what they do because now it's going to be in the back of their head at all times, right?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And Miha, you remember guys like Kimmy when they had cars that weren't reliable, and wasn't it Alonso in the McLaren? Was he the one that pulled up the chair in Brazil in like 2011 or 2010 and just sat there when his car when the engine died during the race and just sat on a folding chair on the side of the track or behind the barrier watching the race. He wasn't going back to the pits. He was just like, I'm so fed up. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to sit here and watch the race because probably if I go back, I may hit somebody or something like that because he was so ticked off at McLaren. Then again, I don't think they were happy with him for various reasons too at that time frame. But yeah, I mean,
I want to pull up Daniel's comment right here. He said we can't expect Ferrari to win the world championship after being bad for 10 years. I mean, I think that's a fair comment. But they also are in the pole position every freaking weekend. And I think it's not like they're not like what Mercedes is doing right now is like it seems like they're constantly battling for each point, right? Like you see them on Saturday where they're positioned up and they're like, okay, they have work to do on Sunday. Ferrari, it's like they are 2 of the top 4 spots every single weekend and then just get smoked on Sunday. So I feel like it's a little different.
Yeah,
I heard funny statistic last week that Max Verstappen won more races out of Leclerc pole position than Leclerc. So he's better at converting Leclerc's pole positions than Leclerc.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right on that, and that's one of the things that a couple of questions come up from this. One of them is Ferrari focusing on Saturday qualifying a little too much? Are they setting up a car for qualifying, or are they setting up the car for the race? Mm-hmm. And second of all, one of the things that I heard that somebody mentioned was there's some questioning by technical people if the Ferrari engine problem is partially related to the porpoising problem they've run into, that they're putting too much stress on the engine on a vertical load. Someone had said that they had heard that the vertical load on the engine on the Ferraris can be over 5 Gs. And you don't build your engine for vertical loading. You may build it for basically, for left and right type of stuff, but you don't build your engine to go up and down as a core unit. Obviously the pistons go up and down, but not the whole block itself going up and down. And that might be part of the failure because it wasn't something you tested for or designed for. Miha, I remember something about, I think it was when McLaren was having a problem with Honda. Wasn't Honda trying to do something where they were trying to make it a stressed member of the suspension? Or was that a different one where they had that problem and that was part of why they were having all those failures? But basically, I mean, there's something about where the engine's being overstressed here. I think that we may need that they may need to be looking at. Then it's not going to be a simple fix either way. I don't think.
Yeah, I have no idea, but like it's clearly like if you include like such a violent oscillation into like mechanical, into engine or also electronics, of course it's going to have an impact in the long run. So I think there's something to that theory also that this definitely impacts that. And you can see like the Ferraris are like bumping or porpoising quite violently at higher speeds. They don't have such a problem like Mercedes, which starts to bump at much lower speeds, but they still have this problem. And it's pretty violent on the like straights.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, we're talking about the driver health issue in a couple of minutes. Mike, what are your thoughts on maybe Ferrari setting up their cars when they do actually make it to the finish, more of a setup for a Saturday qualifying than a Sunday race date setup?
Yeah, I mean, there's clearly something there, right? If they are constantly performing well on Saturday. Again, it would make more sense if they were performing poorly on Saturday and then performing poorly again on Sunday. You're like, okay, that story checks out. Where clearly they're doing something that is setting themselves up for success on Saturday that's impacting them on Sundays. So, I mean, that makes sense. And like you said too, James, this wasn't just Ferrari too. It was all like Ferrari engines, right? Like that would, I think you made this note, but only 2 Ferraris finished the race.
Yep. Yeah. 2 out of 6.
Yeah. It's not terrible odds.
Yeah. No, it's not acceptable odds.
Yeah.
You know, there was a line once. I don't know if it was Mr. Ferrari said to finish first, you must first finish.
Yeah.
And that is a large problem that they need to, you know, maybe someone needs to put that up as a big banner in the Ferrari engine factory. Like, guys, this point really important. You know, we're not going to win a world title without it.
And not only are they knocking themselves down out of like construction competition, they're like for first, they're now like the doors open for other teams to catch up to Ferrari because these are like multiple races with no points.
Yeah, this is great for Mercedes. This just gives some opportunity maybe to look at second place, where
Exactly.
where after the first couple of races would have said no, they had no prayer of getting to second, and now you know Ferrari can't get this engine straight squared away.
Right.
They may, or maybe even McLaren can stick their nose in there, or maybe even Alpine.
Yeah.
But yes, most certainly. I mean, but right now though, it looks like pretty much a Red Bull runaway. But you know, we're only 8 races in. We're basically just barely past the 3rd point. There's lots of other races out there. There's lots of opportunities for challenges or for problems to creep in. There's lots of opportunities, especially when you got the drivers running 1 and 2 to run into each other or to have conflict where you have problems. Pit stops always factor into those things too. So, yeah, I mean, there's lots of different ways that this can still go. There was an interesting comment from Mario Bonato, who's the chief. He goes, of Ferrari, goes, I'd rather prefer to have good performance than and to try to fix reliability than vice versa, which kind of goes off the other's comment. Miha, do you think after a couple more engine failures, he's gonna want to keep that motto, or is he gonna want to change that a little bit?
So I think this approach is important because engines are now homologated until 2026, and you cannot include like performance upgrades, but you can include upgrades if you have reliability issues. So I think from this perspective, this is like very important because they have very strong engine. It's like very high performing. It has some reliability issues. It was like low power engine that performs great. They wouldn't be able to fix anything about it legally. And in the situation they are currently, they can legally fix that. So this is definitely better situation than opposite.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Very good point, Mike.
Yeah. No, nothing to add there. I think what Michal said was sharp.
All right. The other thing that came out of Azerbaijan that's kind of leaked into this week so far is the porpoising problem and the real drastic effect it had on some of the drivers. If you saw Lewis Hamilton trying to get out of the car after the race, it was really like, and there's interesting people wonder that looked at the race, like, well, gee, why didn't somebody go help them? Well, you can't touch drivers because they're almost like they're in a sense sterilized because of the weigh-in thing. So you can't have somebody go over and help them because they're afraid, like, you know, you could pass a piece of, you know, you could pass something off to him and it could change the weight of the driver. So that's why you can't really touch anybody. I mean, if there's a medical issue, they would pull him out and they would waive it. But if it's just because he's sore and it's hard for him to get out, no, you can't really touch the drivers. And that's kind of, it's just kind of one of those Park Ferme things and just the way the rules are, because they go weigh the drivers after the race, and that plus the car must equal the minimum weight, which actually really hasn't been a problem this year because the cars are quote unquote fat. Mike, sorry, go ahead.
No, I know. I was just going to ask. So with like Hamilton specifically, and some of the condition of the drivers after due to porpoising, is that track dependent too? Like, was it more of an issue because of the track that they were running on this past weekend, or like what made this weekend? What made the porpoising more of a factor this weekend than? I mean, I know it's been a common thing every race, but it seemed like it was more pronounced this past weekend.
Yeah, Michal, you want to?
I think I have a theory. I think that issue that Mercedes had last week was the porpoising. I think because their car works in like very narrow window of setup, and for make it work, they have to make it like kind of bump. But one of the options they have, like, set up the suspension really stiff. So I think what's happening, it wasn't actually purposing like aerodynamically, like we can see in the beginning of the season. It was because they set up suspension very stiff, was basically like bottoming on those bumps in Azerbaijan, because
Oh, wow.
this is like very very bumpy track. And then Montreal also this week gonna be similar story.
Mm.
So I saw some like technical videos digging into this, and like with some evidence to support this theory, but like we cannot really know because we don't really know how the car is set up, and it's really hard. Like, it's bumping, and what's the reason? Is like actually the aerodynamics stalling, or is like really stiff suspension? We can't really know from outside, but yeah, I think that could be something else happening last week.
Yeah. No,
Which
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I'm nearly finished. So
Yeah,
go
no,
ahead.
yeah, that's an important point because Lewis specifically said that this wasn't because he was bouncing up and down as much as like where you see the head bobbing type of thing. He said it's because he was striking the ground, and they were estimating
Wow.
that he was hitting the ground at 10 Gs.
That's not great for the body.
No, especially when you're 37 years old and you've driven a lot of races.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're all super fit. They're all fitter than anyone
Right.
you're ever going to run into for the most part. They're Olympic athletes for fitness, but there's only so much you can take. I mean, and even the younger guys, Gasly's having problems. Kevin Magnussen's having problems. George Russell's concerned. Ocon has been having some neck problems, I'd heard
Wow.
from it. And yeah, they're all pretty much, I mean, other than pretty much the Red Bull guys and Alpine, but still Ocon was, because he's a little bit taller, and someone said he sits in a little different position because you can only you got to keep your head out of the air because it affects aerodynamics and also fits the air going in the air box. So he would sit more of a reclined position than sitting deeper in the seat like a Lewis Hamilton or a shorter driver would. So he's got kind of a little bit different position, and therefore the stress, whereas Lewis's was going straight up his back, Ocon's may get transferred into his neck rather than into his back. Magnussen's been complaining about shoulder and jaw pain
Wow.
from the
I mean,
purpose.
that makes sense, right? Like just straight all the way
Yeah.
down, right? So
Because yeah, they do like, if you've seen a driver or the cars, they do sit somewhat inclined.
right.
It's kind of a hard. It really looks like a really uncomfortable position. When I
Yeah.
first saw it for the modern cars, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'd really want to sit there for that long, because you're really kind of, your knees are up, your butt's down, you're laying coming back. You're
Yeah.
barely able to see over the top of it. It's really kind of uncomfortable. They did a thing I saw a couple days ago on F1 TV where they showed the drivers and how far forward they can see or not. And one guy, the example is the guy that was doing the demo. He had to walk 10 meters in front of the car before the driver could see the person's feet.
Wow.
It's 30 feet in imperial measurement. That's a long way, which means they really don't see the corner as much as they kind of guess where the corner, or they estimate where the corners are. But yeah,
crazy.
so yeah, but no, Miha brings up a good point between the porpoising and basically hitting the ground because they're running the cars low. Now, the thing that's interesting is, and Mike, your point about, is this circuit specific? I believe it probably is. I think there's certain circuits it's going to be worse at than other ones. I think it tends to be high speed. Azerbaijan seems to be kind of a combination of both high speed and bumpy on that high speed section. And I think that's probably where Lewis was getting the most abuse, was on that sector 3 portion there, where they have I think it's almost 2 kilometers of straight flat out driving.
Well, and it's tough if Montreal is going to be somewhat similar to have those races back to back without like a week break either, right? This is one of those rare back to back weekend races. So I am, if Lewis was hurting last weekend, I can't imagine he's going to feel good Sunday.
No, not at all. Plus they're going through 5 or 6 time zones too. So they're got all that to add up, or to add together with it. Yeah, Montreal will probably be a similar issue. The straights aren't quite as long, but it is a series of straights and then chicanes, straights, chicanes, straights, chicanes. So other than the hairpin, it's pretty much going to be pretty similar. And I think you'd see the teams that did well in Azerbaijan are probably the teams that will do well, and the teams that will have the problems are probably the same teams. Miha, do you think that's accurate, or what's your take?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much accurate. What's also specific about Montreal, it's really, really hard on braking, because we have in a couple places like a very hard braking point after long straights, and they end up being in very high speeds. And we've seen in previous years brakes failing in Montreal, and pretty spectacular crashes. So I actually have no idea which teams stand where on brakes, but those teams that are not so comfortable with their brakes may have problems. I know McLaren had some issues beginning of the season, but I think they figured those out. But yeah,
Yeah.
weather gonna be also interesting factor, because there was a big thunderstorm yesterday. The forecast for the FP2 is similar for today and for qualification tomorrow, basically like a serious rainfall. So that always makes things a bit interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and the rain yesterday, I saw some of the pictures, was just insane. It was just like one of
Yeah.
those, what do you think of as a Texas thunderstorm? Just, gully washer, just, pretty much looks like someone just started pouring water out of a bucket onto somebody. It was just
Yeah,
insane.
you could do boat races in the pit lane yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. So pretty much brought everything to a halt because nobody wanted to get wet. They're all going to
Yeah.
many of them are scheduled to do track walks at about 5 o'clock just before this thing started, and they had to stop the walk. And also there was a lot of thunder and lightning, I believe, in it too.
Oh, wow.
Somebody posted a one of those radar images, and it was like pink, and that's never good.
Yeah.
You know,
Our man on the street, NBA Top Shot Talk, said big thunderstorm yesterday. So there we go.
Yep.
Live from Montreal.
Yeah, he needs to, like do something so if we see him on the race, we'll know it's him. I mean, he needs to wear a Top Shot jersey or something so we
Yeah.
can pick him out in the crowd.
That's
They
right.
estimated there's going to be about 320,000, I understand, for the
Wow.
race. I mean, well, over the 3 days. Because
Yeah.
remember, this is the first race since 2019. Because Canada's
Oh,
been
right.
seriously locked down. No 2020 race, and they didn't get back on the calendar last year either. So this is the first time in 3 years they've, there's been a race. A lot of pent up demand, like you said.
Wow.
A lot of people want to go out in Montreal and party because this is a big event. Because this used to be when, for the many years that the U.S. didn't have a race, this is where Americans would go. I worked with a couple of people that, like about 15 years ago, that would go to the race up in Canada because it was the closest shot for them to get to an F1 race for real F1 fanatics.
Wow.
So, but yeah,
That'll be a fun one.
no, absolutely, yeah, it should be quite interesting. But the thing that popped up after the aftermath of the drivers with the health effects, the FIA jumped in and issued a memorandum yesterday stating basically they're going to be responsible. The teams are responsible for making sure the drivers are going to be are kept safe. It was kind of vague. They also said that they're developing some mathematical calculations to determine, the effects of the oscillation. And the other thing was, I believe they said something about they could institute minimum ride heights or force teams to raise the ride height, because this is a very simple thing to fix. The problem is it's very expensive on track time to do that. Is what will affect your lap times. All you have to do is raise the car up, and this problem for the most part will go away. The problem is then you don't get ground effects and your times will suffer fairly dramatically.
Right.
And that's why the teams are very, very hesitant to do it, to the point that they are, I wouldn't say risking the drivers, but making the drivers put up with a lot more than they would normally have to, deal with, to basically not raise the ride height. Mika, what do you think? What's your take on the F1 memo that was put out yesterday?
Yeah, as you said, it's pretty vague, but feel like they wanna somehow measure the vertical G's and like set up some limit, and after you cross that limit, you'll be forced to like either fix that by raising the floor, or you're gonna be disqualified. I think it's a bit like a case of like changing the rules mid-season without changing the rules, because they officially don't change the rules, but they like include new kind of tests
Yeah.
they perform on cars. So that's going to be always controversial, right? There's going to be like teams that will not like this, and there's going to be teams that maybe going to like it. And I have a feeling that Mercedes may not like it, and Red Bull may actually like it, because they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, because they're both at the extremes of this, and Red Bull's been pretty much unaffected by it, And like you said, Merck's been probably the one that's been possibly the most affected by, at least performance wise. And
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was the take that I got from my F1 friends, and from some of the stories that I'd seen, that yeah, this is really, because there'd been calls after the race where there were a lot of drivers, and I think maybe even Toto had said that they wanted changes in the regulations, meaning they wanted like a minimum ride height. So if we have to raise our
Mm.
cars, Red Bull has to raise their cars, and Alpine has to raise their car, and everybody has to. So then you'd have a level playing field. But of course, Red Bull and Christian were like, well, no. Why would you change the rules just because your car doesn't work right? This is your problem. Go fix your car. Don't make us change our, don't make us, raise our car up because you guys can't figure out how to make your car run right. So,
I did.
it's on you guys.
I think my favorite thing about that kind of announcement from the FIA, though, it reminds me of like a waiver you'd have to sign, or your parents would have to sign if you'd go on a field trip, where like it's basically saying like, hey, if your kid does something crazy, it's not on us. Like that's basically what that announcement was. Like, yeah, it's not our fault. You fix it. You deal with it. And that is kind of what that sounded like, right? Because I mean, you're right. You can't change the rules mid-season, but if this was a real problem and they were really concerned about their driver's health, they'd be like, okay, these are the new requirements for the cars. Everyone has to raise the height, right? Like you just do a blanket thing like that, and then you'd be like, okay, this is a safety thing. It's not about a racing edge. It's not about like a strategic move. It's like, no, we care about the safety. But it's just like, first and foremost, you guys are in charge of your safety. Like this is not on us. We're here to make the money. So I always do love when like a parent company or an announcement like that, something like that comes out. It always makes me laugh.
Yeah, the FAA, they can't change, technically they can't change the rules if I remember right during the season, but if it's a safety issue, they can then, I don't know if it's like force majeure or what, they can basically take over and implement changes in the name of safety. And they've done that periodically over the years, in the name of safety. Now this is more of a health thing. This isn't like driver. Well, actually, and what their argument is that, well, look, if drivers are moving around the cockpit so much that they can't really see things, then they could possibly crash and they could hit somebody and cause damage or injury to themselves or others on the track, or go flying off or some other obtuse thing like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's an interesting point. But it is a way, because they are getting a lot of flack from it. There's a thing called the Grand Prix Drivers Association, which I think Russell's one of the board members this year. Forgot who the president is this year, and they were basically pretty vocal after the race about, look, this is a driver health problem. Not so much safety, but driver's health problem, and something needs to be done about it. And they were especially after the Lewis photos were really kind of a game changer on it. I mean, because not a lot of the drivers, you really didn't notice in the other races them getting out of the car having problems getting out. Lewis was very visible, and it was very much focused on in the race coverage, watching him trying to get out and the problems and how painful it looked for him.
And I'm comfortable saying that sometimes I think Lewis is a little dramatic, but that did look like he was in some real pain. Like every once in a while, I'm like, okay, Lewis, I get it, dude. This is tough. But that one, I was like, okay, this feels like it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. And one of the things, Miha, I've one of the things that I'm kind of curious on is, and you brought this up earlier, but how much of this is a function of the increased suspension stiffness of the cars combined with the larger tires, and the tires not being very flexible as they'd been on the sidewalls in the previous thing? The kind of like a 2x factor that I don't think maybe some of the teams factored in both of those components as much as they should have when doing the design of the car.
And I think there's also a third thing, because in suspension there was like one element removed. It was inertia dampers.
Yeah.
That were like pretty expensive piece of like customly engineered. So they decided for cost cap just lets them remove, which makes tuning the suspension even harder. So I think all those things like added the components to the issue, and like all those things put together are actually causing problems that were really hard to predict in simulation and CFD, because you kind of have more like static situation than what happens on the track. So yeah, it was a lot of teams were surprised about it, how it's happening.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, that a lot of the teams didn't run into this, like they said, doing their wind tunnel stuff, and they showed up at Bahrain and then ran the cars for the first time. It was like, whoa, guys, hey, oh guys, what's going on here? This wasn't part of the deal. And they're like, we didn't have any problems in the wind tunnel. Like you said, our CFD calculations didn't find this. And then, well, how do we fix it? And it's like, well, we'll get back to you on that one. We'll circle back to you on that one, shall we say? So, yeah. So I mean, it was like you said, it's a good point. It really was a surprise for a lot of the teams. They didn't have any expectation of this. And one thing that I think I've said before is the only team that has a designer that was around when ground effects was around the first time, 40 plus years ago, is Adrian Newey at Red Bull. He's the only guy that's been there long enough. These guys are all in their 30s and 40s, maybe even their 50s. But only Adrian Newey's been there before and has been involved with ground effect design. And you got to look at Red Bull being the best team right now as far as not having purposing problems. And you got to wonder how much of it comes down to the brain of Adrian Newey, who is a fantastically smart person. So, but yeah, I mean go ahead.
I'm currently reading his biography, and it's
wow,
absolutely
cool.
fascinating.
Cool.
It's
awesome.
That felt like a planned bit right there, right? You brought up
Yeah.
because it seemed like offhand you brought him up, and then Mihal's like, "Well, and here's the book
available at my website. Please go to blah.com and you can buy it." That's very well done. That's cool. I remember that. I remember hearing about that book. I've got to get that book at some point and read it. But
That's great.
All right, so we got to an hour here. Let's do a little bit longer. Mike, is that okay? We go a couple extra minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
So basically, we talked about how to fix it. It's basically it's for the most part raising the ride height, other than you're able to fix your suspension and reduce the aerodynamic problems on it. Raising the ride height is a quick, easy fix. As far as being able to implement it, the other ones take more time, and obviously Mercedes has been working probably overtime or beyond that. Also, one of the things too that, and I'm curious how this factors in, is remember, Miha, they have reduced wind tunnel time this year because the amount of wind tunnel time you got was a factor of where you finished to try to even out. So like Haas got the most wind tunnel time, and Mercedes, being the constructors champion, got the least amount of time. And I don't think it was a problem where they didn't find it. Maybe it was. But I don't know what that means as far as them going back into the wind tunnels along with the cost caps during the season and trying to basically, put together full-scale models or 80% models in the wind tunnels and being able to run cars with aerodynamic options to fix this problem. Yeah. So I'm not sure what they're really able to do with that. All right. One of the interesting components about Canada that makes it Canada is the Wall of Champions. Now it is the chicane after turn 13, or it is at the end of turn 13. Why is it named the Wall of Champions? Well, 1999, 3 world champions, Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, and Jacques Villeneuve, son of Gilles Villeneuve, who the circuit is named for, hit that wall all in the same event. So it is now called the Wall of Champions. But evidently this year it's not quite the same wall. Since they've been away for 3 years, they've pulled the wall out and they put in a series of Tech Pro barriers, those softer barriers. So you're not going to really hit a wall, quote unquote, anymore. You're going to hit softer barriers. Also, I believe Vettel hit it in a race, and Button have both hit it in over the years. So it's kind of a very famous wall that that people. I don't know if it's a badge of honor to hit it or.
I was gonna say, are the drivers now like upset that they're not going to be able to run into the Wall of Champions?
Well, no, it'll still be the same thing. It'll just be barriers rather than the wall. I mean,
Gotcha.
it'll still be the same effect. You might be able to bounce off a little bit this year rather than crunching your suspension together.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically it's no longer the same thing. But it still it retains it as someone said on the broadcast just before we came on. The Tech Pro barrier, or the Tech Pro Champions doesn't sound nearly as good as the Wall of Champions. So everyone's gonna refer to it as the Wall of Champions for that reason. But Miha, you've seen enough races there and enough people hit that thing that really has a major effect on especially on qualifying, where you're laying it out to the 10th. And I know that I've seen plenty of guys ruin qualifying sessions by hitting that wall.
Yeah, and you don't really hit it like directly and like straight on. You basically, people like tap it on the exit of the corner. So those are not really like hard hits. You more like slide along this wall, but it's still pretty rough. I saw a funny tweet that like Canadian Grand Prix is like a setup for like ultimate call up, because there's gonna be like Wall of Champions, and Nicolas Latifi, the champion of the walls. So they're like,
Oh,
to meet.
ouch. Ouch, that's tough. Wow. Wow. Hate on the Canadian guy. I wonder what, hey TST, what do you think about the hate on Latifi there?
Poor Latifi. I mean, Latifi, I feel like has
No. The word poor does not go with him. His father's a billionaire. He is never poor. Okay.
It's true. Bad Latifi. Bad Latifi.
There you go. Sure.
He's just been at the back. Actually, no. You know who's had the worst run of it is I'm blanking on his name. Zhu. What's Zhu's first name? Or is it Zhao?
Guan Yu.
Guan Yu.
Yeah.
I feel like he has been running so unlucky. Like,
Yeah.
Whether it's an accident or an engine issue, and the only reason I say that is because when I do like my DFF, my fantasy research, he's always like a good value. And you're like, oh no, he's supposed to be doing better. And then every week it's like, oh, he's going into the pit lane, and the car's retired. I feel like he's run very, very poorly lately.
Yeah, he was one of the cars that had to retire in Azerbaijan. And it was like, oh, you need to bring the car. And he goes, what? No. He goes, yes, you have to bring the car. And he wasn't happy about it because, like you said, he's raced pretty well. He's done pretty good keeping his nose clean. And he said, he's had some unfortunate things. So the thing is, it's a third of the way through. Hopefully, if he gets a little more luck, the things will even out for him, and he'll be able to show what he's made of. And it's a great thing to have a Chinese driver because this could really help,
right?
Promote the sport in China.
I guess
I suppose. And then next year, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm gonna make a joke. You go.
Okay. Oh, okay. Because next year, I think Mihal, they finally go back to China on the 23 calendar, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that'll be good there.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say they needed more duct tape. His team needs more duct tape.
There you go. Oh, yeah, that was great. Oh, my gosh. I forgot about that part.
The announcers, too, were like furious. They're like, you can't do that.
Well, especially Martin Brundle, who's a former racer. It's like, and I agree. Now, that happens. It's funny. In American racing, the tape is labeled by the speed.
Yeah.
It's 100-mile-an-hour tape or 200-mile-an-hour tape. A lot of that either comes from NASCAR or NHRA drag racing. I had a friend who's a drag racer, and he's the one that I first heard about calling 100-mile-an-hour tape or 200-mile-an-hour tape. Problem in drag racing, you have to go 300 miles an hour at times, so I had to come up with 300-mile-an-hour tape so it didn't fall off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just like, that was the most egregious thing in the world. It was like,
that was nuts.
I like the pit guy going, here comes the FIA delegate storming down the pit lane. I wonder if he's got a problem with this. Joe Bauer is storming down the pit lane. Go, no, you can't put duct tape on a wing. What are you thinking? So it was like, Yuki, no more DRS. Huh? No DRS, Yuki. I think they told the same thing to Gasly too. They didn't want his to break. But again, it's that whole Red Bull thing with the wings, and they just really seem to push the limit on the structural design of those wings for that point. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it should be a good race. FP1 results were Max first, Sainz second, Alonso third. Aston Martin had a pretty good showing. So maybe the green Red Bull, after they've worked out all of the, after they've gotten some knowledge on it, may actually turn out to be something worthwhile. Or maybe they're just blessing Lance Stroll for all the billions he's thrown into Aston Martin and giving him some nice results. 7th and 9th for them. So that's, that's pretty good. I didn't see anybody. Russell was 6th, but wasn't really anybody. Unfortunately, I think Schumacher was last again. I didn't see where the McLarens were. And it'll be interesting to see if we do get an FP2 in, or if it's going to get washed out because of the rain. Because like Miha said, it is expected to be kind of wet up there. That will come on, by the way, it's 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific for those of you that want to watch. I
don't know if it's going to happen this weekend, but based on last weekend, we are going to get a McLaren blow up soon. I do think we're going to get a Ricardo Lando situation. Even like they basically were like, Lando, play cool, man. We're both getting points. And then that last straightaway, he was like, I might just go past him. Like it looked like he was going to do it. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, no, that's because they're both pretty well-mannered drivers. I mean, Daniel's great, Lando's, they're both fun guys, and I think they get along fairly well. But yeah, it would be interesting. That's one thing. Remember, they also told the same thing to Perez. They told Perez, don't push Max, don't fight Max. And again, he just got the big contract. He's second in the drivers' championship. And Christian says, no team orders. They're free to do just as long as they don't take each other out. Because Red Bull's had bad problems has had past nightmares. 2018, Ricardo and Max ran into each other at that first turn and took out both cars. And I mean, it wasn't why Ricardo left the team, but it certainly was maybe one of
It
the factors.
helped.
Why yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that and a large dollar contract from Renault were probably factors, 2 and 3 in the list of why he left. Which a lot of people question about that was the smartest move for Ricardo because he hasn't really done well since then. And why would you want to walk away from a team that's looking like a world champion at this point?
Yeah.
But so be it. Let's do some predictions and we'll get everybody out of here
Nice.
for the race. Mika, what's your 1, 2, and 3 for the race?
I want Leclerc to succeed finally, so I'm gonna just put him like on 1 and Sainz 2, and let's give like Danny Rick 3. It's like
Wow, Danny Rick 3. I like that.
Mike?
Man, I want Charles to be good, but I'm done putting Ferrari on the podium. I think they're just gonna continue to have engine meltdowns. So I'm gonna say Red Bull takes 2nd and 3rd, and we're gonna get an Alonso weekend. I think we're gonna have
Wow.
Alonso take it down, the old man.
Wow.
Old man out
By
there.
the way, Alonso took that like 3rd place in FP1 on the medium tire compared to everybody else on soft tire. So that's
Oh, good point. Oh, good point.
That
I
was
didn't notice
fast.
that. Cool. Yeah, that's interesting. Cool. Yeah, maybe there's something there. I'm gonna go Perez first. I'm gonna go Vettel second
Ooh,
and Russell third.
I like that. And how about George Russell, man? Just like top 5 every week.
Yeah, consistent, just kind of
Yeah.
knocking them off.
Yeah.
Not on a podium. Well, he's at a couple podiums.
Yeah.
It really is interesting because he really does seem to be much more suited to that car
Yeah.
than Lewis is, which is unfortunate for Lewis. I mean, Russell's suffering, but he's 12 years, 13 years younger than Lewis. But the car just seems to fit him better, just like this year's Red Bull seems to fit Perez better than last year's Red Bull did.
I gotta tell you, coming from a Williams car, I'm sure like he's just happy. You know what I'm saying? Like it could be,
yeah.
he could be
He's
in, like,
overjoyed.
a Flintstones car, and he'd be like, "Well, at least it's not Williams."
But it's
Yeah,
funny.
I read
Go ahead.
somebody saying that because Russell is experienced like so many years in crappy car, he can take it much better than Lewis, and also like his consistency. If he continue like that, and Ferrari continue like they did, he'll end up on top of Ferraris at the end of the year. So it's
true.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, yeah, I mean, he showed his stuff in that race where we subbed for Lewis in Bahrain in 2020, and man, if it wasn't for a couple of really bad faux pas by the strategy team at Mercedes, he would have won that race.
Yeah.
I mean, twice
Definitely.
he could have won.
Yeah.
He would have won that race.
Really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was fantastic. He was so good. He finished. I mean, he qualified second behind Bottas. Yeah. And basically, there was a screw up where they had some problem where they were like talking on. They have like one communication line they use, and they were talking to one person was talking to Russell in the car, and I believe someone else was talking to the pit crew, and the pit crew's communication was blocked. And he came in for tires and they weren't ready. So it cost him an extra long time. So he fell way back. Then they had something else where there was a yellow flag situation and they had they had to come back in for a pit stop for something.
So and he had to come back because they put Bottas tires on him.
That's right, because they were screwed up because of the community. Right, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
second
so
thing he caught some puncture, so it was basically twice unlucky. But he basically like he Valtteri was quicker in qualification, but in race pace he absolutely obliterated Valtteri. There was like absolutely no competition.
Yeah, that was sticking his flag is okay. I'm going to be because he's always been under management of Mercedes, and it's like okay, I deserve a Mercedes seat. It's just a question of does Lewis retire? Do we push Bottas aside or what? And finally, at the end of last year was time that he said, fine,
it was time to go back to the Swedish sauna, right? Is he Swedish?
Finish.
The Finnish.
They're big on their saunas up there, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, or at least I believe so. And that basically, he's going to be the heir apparent to Lewis whenever they get the car fixed. And sure they will. I think they're probably the smartest team, though Adrian Newey kind of makes you wonder about that at times.
Yeah.
He just seems to be the wizard of the design studio.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, turn it back over to you. And
well, thank you.
F1 Fantasy, don't forget.
I'll drop that link one more time. Just want to thank both of you guys again. I always enjoy doing this, but I'm also not well versed enough to do it. So it's nice to have two people that know what they're doing, and they both bring really good perspective. So thank you to James and Mihal for coming on. And eventually we're going to get a playback for one of these. I wanted to do it this weekend, but our schedule's just a little too crazy. We're going to a wedding this weekend, and I don't think I'm going to be back in time. But we will do one before the season's over, which will be, I think that'll be a good time. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Later, guys. So shout out James, shout out Mihal. We are an hour and 15, so we're going to wrap here. We're going to wrap. I just want to, listen, we're going to bring this up, and I want to show the people. We stayed under 160. We'll have a with the strip pack coming soon. We're excited about that. But I hope everybody has a good weekend. We will be back on Monday. The schedule is going to be a little wonky next week because of NFT NYC. The morning marketplace will still be cooking every day, except for maybe Tuesday because I think Overzed's staying with me. I can't remember, but we'll stay tuned. But I hope everybody has a great weekend. I got to get out of here, and we'll see y'all Monday. We out.
Well, the top side streets